car driving down a long, straight dirt road. The sky is turning gray. The trees are covered in moss, creating this archway over the road.
Nuestro guía se llamaba Fernando.
Our guide's name is Fernando. He's been driving us around on this private tour. At one point, he says, "You should take out your cameras." People often take photos of these trees, hoping to spot elves and fairies. Okay, this is obviously not true. My sister is just as skeptical, but my mom, she's totally on board. Growing up, she heard a lot of stories about elves. So she pulls out her phone and starts snapping pictures left and right.
Por fin llegamos al museo.
We finally get to the museum. We enter this little building that looks like a fairy tale cottage made out of bricks and wood. We walk into this huge hall, and it's filled with elf dolls.
En todas las paredes hay figuras de duendes.
They're on the walls, they're sitting on benches. Some are 1.5 feet tall, others just a few inches. Some are plastic, others porcelain.
¿Los duendes no son muy lindos?
These elves aren't exactly cute. They look like kids with grown-up faces. They have big ears, wrinkled skin, huge noses. Some wear pointy hats and baggy pants, and their eyes are so expressive.
Cada uno tiene como su historia y su nombre.
Each elf has a small sign with its story and its name. One of them is linked to fertility, and the guide tells us that people who want to have kids should leave some money in front of it. There's another elf for those struggling with addictions. It's surrounded by cigarettes and a liquor bottle. There's even a guest book where people leave thank you notes for these elves. People write things like, "Thank you for allowing me to go on this vacation. Thank you because we finally could have a child." And I'm standing there like,
¿Será verdad esto?
Is this for real?
Cuando ya terminamos el recorrido, hay una tienda de...
So we finish the tour and come across this little gift shop. There are keychains, magnets, but also these tiny elves, about 2 inches tall.
Su cara era tierna.
These elves, they are so cute. They look like cereal box toys. They are all holding quartz crystals, with each crystal representing a unique elf power. So we get a red one for my mom, for her health. She had an accident a few years back, and she suffers from anterograde amnesia. She tends to forget things that happen throughout the day, but holds on to her older memories. For my sister, who just graduated and is job hunting, we pick a green one for prosperity. As for me, I'm doing well at work. Things are good with my partner.
Entonces dije, me llevo el de la suerte.
So I just choose one for luck.
Starting descent.
4 días después, llegamos a nuestra ciudad, a Pasto, Colombia.
4 days later, we are back home in Pasto, Colombia. We start unpacking and we take out the elves. I put my elf on a shelf that's in my room. My mom puts hers next to the TV. And my sister takes hers to her room. Then my sister says,
¿Les vamos a poner dulces? ¿Les vamos a poner monedas?
let's try giving them some candy and some coins. So we rummage around for whatever candy we have at home.
Recuerdo tanto que era un super coco.
I find a super coco. It's a very cheap coconut candy with cream filling, super sweet. And I just put it under the elf and take a picture. I send the picture to my friend, Tatiana, just to brag about my trip. She replies back,
¿Por qué no me trajiste uno a mí?
why didn't you bring one for me? Of course, weeks go by and nothing happens. I don't feel any luckier. My sister, she gets a job, but we don't think it's because of the elves. And my mom, well, she eventually walks around the house and grabs the elves' candy and the coins. She just forgot. One day, I'm at work and my sister texts me, asking if I had taken her purse. I'm like, no. Apparently, it had a lot of money inside, and she had put it on a tall shelf at home. So when I get home, I help her look for it.
Las dos buscamos ahí. Y no estaba.
We look on the shelf, nothing there. We look all around the apartment, nothing. So I tell her,
Caro, ¿y si le ponemos una moneda? ¿Qué tal aparezca?
what if we give your elf a coin? Maybe that will help us find it. I'm just joking. But she puts a coin in front of her elf and says,
Les dijo, por favor, duendes, que aparezca mi cartera.
elf, please, let me find my purse. 10 minutes later, we're back searching through the same spots. And
Ahí está.
there it was. Right where she had left it. On the top of the shelf.
Suelto una risa, pero risa nerviosa.
I let out a nervous laugh, but we were like, maybe we didn't see it before.
Y entonces llega la Navidad.
It's now the Christmas season. Our tree is up, and a cute snowman tablecloth covers our dining table. I'm at home doing arts and crafts for a work contest to see who could make the best nativity scene using only recyclables. My task is the 3 wise men. So I make one of the wise men figurines with styrofoam and old fabric. Once I finish, I leave it on my bedroom table and go take a shower.
Cuando salí a la habitación, no estaba.
When I get out of the shower, the wise man figurine is not there anymore. My first thought is, I'm home alone, so maybe one of my dogs took it? But that's impossible. We got a fence in the hallway to keep them out of the bathrooms. So I searched the rest of the house. But this wise man is nowhere to be found. This has already happened to my sister and her purse. So I start to toy with the idea of talking to my elf. My elf already had a couple of coins in front of it, about 50 pesos. So I stand in front of the elf and say,
Señor duende, por favor, le dije que aparezca mi figura y te pongo un billete.
Mr. Elf, please, bring back my figurine and I will give you more money. I feel so silly talking to the elf. I go back to the living room and start searching everywhere again. But then, I turn around and
La figura estaba en el árbol de Navidad.
the wise man is sitting on my Christmas tree, on one of the branches.
Me asusté.
I'm scared.
Yo dije, no, es imposible, yo no fui.
This is impossible. It wasn't me. But I go to my room and I put a 2,000 peso bill under my elf. About $50. When my sister and my mom get to the apartment, I tell them what happened. But I try to keep the details light so I don't scare my mom. She just laughs and says, well, looks like we did bring some magical elves with us. She wasn't scared at all. But I'm a little spooked because I was alone when it all happened. That's when I start to believe in the elves. I start to feel like they're alive, living in my home. So I just keep giving them treats just in case.
Las siguientes semanas empecé a volverme más generosa con ellos.
Over the next few weeks, I become more generous. I give them nicer candy, not super cocos, and larger bills. But I'm the only one doing it. My sister never gives them anything. As for my mom, she starts taking the money and the candy again.
Unos días después del episodio del árbol de Navidad, había un concierto de Marco Antonio Solís.
A few days after the Christmas tree incident, there's a Marco Antonio Solís concert. I'm in line with my boyfriend and my uncle. It's almost 7 p.m. Suddenly, I receive a phone call from one of my aunts. She tells me that my mom's not answering her calls. So, I call my mom. No answer. It's getting late, and my mom usually doesn't go out alone. I start worrying that something might have happened to her. Or maybe she had some kind of breakdown. Even though she's been living with amnesia for 8 years, something like this has never happened. I step out of the line and I leave my boyfriend and uncle behind. When I get home, I start walking around the block, but I don't see her anywhere.
Estaba en pánico total.
I'm starting to panic because it's almost 9. She's been missing for 3 hours.
Estoy desesperada, al punto de casi llorar.
I'm so desperate that I want to cry. I'm thinking the worst. Maybe she was kidnapped. Maybe she had an accident. Then an idea pops up in my head. I mean, this is like my last resort.
Cerré los ojos y les hablé a los duendes.
I close my eyes and I talk to the elves, just like how you would pray to God. I say,
por favor que aparezca mi mamá y yo les voy a poner un billete de 50,000.
Please bring my mom back home. I'll give you a 50,000 peso bill, about $12. That was the biggest denomination in Colombia back then. After praying, I turn around and I head back home. And as I'm turning the corner,
veo a mi mamá en la puerta, parada.
I see my mom standing in front of our building.
Fue inmediato, o sea,
it happened so immediately. My mom is so calm, as if nothing had happened. I tell her I've been looking for her all night, and she says she wanted to go for a walk, and she didn't hear her phone ringing, but she was okay. We go back to the apartment, and I'm thinking,
Gracias yo, gracias, 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 duendes. Así.
thank you, thank you, thank you, elves. I take a 50,000 peso bill, wrap a rubber band around it, and place it gently next to my elf. That's the incident that made me respect the elves more. I'm starting to get a little obsessed. I start leaving more money. 5,000 peso bills, 500 pesos in coins.
Llegó un punto en el que yo les hablaba.
I'm starting to talk to them. When I'm alone, I say out loud,
No te vayas a llevar mis cosas.
please don't hide my stuff.
No vayas a lastimarnos.
Please don't hurt us. Then one day, I'm heading out for drinks with a friend, but I realize I'm out of cash. So my only option is to take the 50,000 peso bill from the elf. I go up to the elf, look in its eyes, and say,
Que le iba a tomar prestado el billete y luego se lo devolvía.
I'm gonna take the money, but I'll make sure to return it later. One night, my boyfriend is staying over at my place. We're sleeping, and suddenly,
Sentimos un golpe fuerte en la sala.
we hear a loud bang in the living room. Like someone dropped a chair. I get out of bed to check, but everything looks just as it was. So I just brush it off and go back to bed. The next morning, I'm still kinda half asleep, lying next to my boyfriend. He stretches out his arm and says,
Mira,
"Look."
vi y estaba lleno de rasguños pequeños.
His arm is covered in these really tiny scratches. These scratches are small and short, like baby fingernails. It looks like someone did it on purpose. I text my sister about the loud bang and the scratches, and she replies with a photo of her arm.
Sus brazos llenos de moretones.
Her arm is covered in these tiny bruises, the size of pennies. She says, "I don't remember hurting myself. They just showed up this morning."
Ahí nos empezamos a asustar.
We start to freak out.
Sabíamos que eran los duendes.
It's the elves. We are sure it's them. My sister says we should throw them away. But something inside me is telling me that it can't be that easy. So we call this family friend who's helped us with this type of thing before. He comes over and I show him the elves. He just stares at them for a moment. And then he asks me to put them back in my room. He says, they can't be here with us because they will hear us talking. I'm gonna tell you how to get rid of them. The first thing he says is,
Estos duendes son muy poderosos. Les han dado muchos regalos.
these elves are very powerful. You've been giving them a lot of treats. And then he looks at me and says, actually, your elf is the most powerful because of all the money and candy you've given him. That's the one to blame for everything that's been going on. He says, you bought these elves for a reason, but if you continue to keep them in your house, they will turn against you. Your mom's health will suffer. Your sister will struggle at work, and you will run out of luck.
Estaba asustada, muy asustada.
I'm freaking out. I'm wondering, what if we can get rid of them? What should we do? He says,
¿El secreto para deshacernos de ellos?
the secret to get rid of them. And don't ever repeat this aloud, okay?
Vas a buscar una iglesia que tenga 2 puertas.
You're gonna look for a church. And this church must have 2 doors. One door to enter, another to exit.
Los vas a llevar
You're gonna take them, and you're gonna leave them at the church's entrance. Then you're gonna tell them loud and clear so they can hear you.
Por favor, espérenme aquí
Wait for me here.
y yo ya regreso por ustedes.
I'll be right back. After that, you're gonna enter the church, pray, and when you're ready, you'll exit through the other door. That night, I text my friend Tatiana. I tell her,
Voy a hacer algo y necesito que me acompañes.
I need to do something, and I need you to come with me. She asks, what is this all about? And I tell her, it's about the elves. She's not taking me seriously. She just replies, well, make sure your elf is not reading your texts. So the next morning, I meet up with Tatiana, and we head towards the church. I'm carrying the elves in a black plastic bag. We're walking in silence. When we get to the church, there's no one around.
Caminé hacia la entrada
I walked to the front entrance,
y los dejé en la primera escalera.
and I placed the bag on the doorstep. I say,
Espérenme aquí, que ya regreso.
wait for me here. I'll be right back. My friend and I go inside. We sit down and start to pray. At the back of the church, next to the statue of the Virgin Mary, I see the exit door wide open to my right. I'm praying for the elves to stay so they don't follow me. After a few minutes, we slowly stand up and leave through the exit door. We quickly turn the corner and start speed walking.
Estaba muy agitada, nerviosa.
I feel agitated, nervous.
Estaba como escapando.
It's like we're escaping. Once we are far from the church, I start telling Tatiana the whole story about losing money and losing my mom. She's freaking out. She's like,
¿Cómo la voy a llevar? A hacer algo así, que qué tal se le hubieran pegado a ella.
why did you bring me here? What if they come with me? What if someone sees them and takes them? I tell her,
No sé.
I don't know. I just hope people think it's a trash bag and throw it away. Once we get back to the apartment, I tell my sister and my mom what we had done. My sister looks relieved, but my mom, well, she laughs at everything. She chuckles and says, Ay, pobrecitos, poor little things. Who's gonna take care of them now? I have never ever gone back to that church. I think that was the first and the last time I have ever been in that area.
Mi miedo era que si yo pasaba por ahí estuvieran esperándome.
I'm scared that if I walk by, they're still waiting for me.
Porque yo les dije que me esperaran.
Because I told them, I'll be back.